Hello, good morning. Our next lesson for our subject statistics, elementary statistics and probability is all about the measures of central tendency, the mean, median, mode, and when I say the measures of central tendency, I'm talking about the raw data for the grouped and ungrouped data. So this presentation is recorded so that those students who are encountering problems for their connection will be able to hear also the discussion. So let's start with the definition of the measures of central tendency. What is measure of central tendency? Or since we have three of them, we have the measures of central tendency. When we talk about the central tendency, we are trying to see or to locate a particular data or number from a set of given data to represent the whole distribution. So there are many ways to get that. And one of the most common one is getting the average. And this particular term average is similar to the first measure of central tendency, which is the mean. So in layman's term, when we are getting the central tendency, we are getting the average. Because for example, if you are dealing with your grades, you have a lot of grades, right, for your subjects. So say for example, you have enrolled 8 subjects for the semester, then you will obtain 8 grades. So if you are going to analyze your grade and represent one that will describe the 8 grades that you have, then you are probably getting the central tendency of those grades. So what is the best way to get that? That is to get the average or the mean, or you can also have the median or the mode, because there are different measures of central tendency. But the bottom line is you are getting a particular number that will represent a particular data set or distribution. That is the meaning of central tendency. So here is an example. In a class of 40 students, the average height would be the typical height of the members of this class as a whole. So for example, there are 40 students in your class. There is a combination of the tall ones and not so tall. So to represent ano ba talaga ang height ng section na ito. So if there will be one answer needed, then of course the teacher will get the central tendency for that particular data set. That is the meaning of central tendency, which I hope is clear with you. So we will start with the first set, the ungrouped data. And this is very quick and easy also because this is familiar to all of us. Even the non-major, math major students are also familiar. The first one is the mean. The mean is also called sometimes arithmetic mean. So I will read the definition based on this slide. The mean of a set of values or measurements is the sum of all measurements divided by the number of measurements in the set. As simple as that. So from the definition itself, you already know how to construct the formula and even present that in your calculation. So among the three measures of central tendency, this is a trivia. The mean is the most popular and widely used. In research, for example, you cannot really see under the statistical treatment part of the study that the tool being used is median or mode. It's usually, or in all cases, it's the mean, because this is the most reliable, the most popular, the most widely used measure of central tendency. So if we compute for the mean of the population, we call it the parametric or population mean, denoted by mu. This is read as mu. But more specifically, because we are not dealing with population, we will be familiar with x bar. We will get the mean of the sample denoted by x bar and to the numbers that you have to deal with divided by the number. I mean, you have to add and then divided by the number of addends. But before presenting to you the computation, let us understand deeply the mean. So, what are the properties? What are the characteristics? Ano ang meron sa mean? Bakit nag-stand out siya as compared to other measures of central tendency? Number one, mean can be calculated for any set of numerical data. So it always exists. So as long as your data is numerical, then you can actually get your mean. As simple as that. So it's very applicable, it's popular, it's common, because you can compute for it. And you can get one value for that. That will lead us to number 2. It has one and only one value. The mean has only one value. The third one is the mean is the most reliable measure of central tendency since it takes into account every item in the set of data. So it differs from the median and the mode that you will learn later on because the other two are concentrating on other aspects of the data set. Ang mean is very particular sa lahat. So every part of the distribution is taken into consideration before niya makuha ang kanyang value. That is why it is the most reliable measure of central tendency. The fourth one, it is greatly affected by extreme or deviant values or outliers. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Meron kasing masyadong mataas at masyadong mababa na mga values in our distribution. Say for example, yung grades ninyo. Meron kayong grade siguro na if you are going to convert that into the grade per 100 as the highest, meron kayong grade siguro na as high as 100. Meron kayong perfect grade. Meron kayong grade also na as low as 75. So if you are going to compute for the mean of your data, the overall answer will be affected by those values. Outliers ang tawag doon. So that is the disadvantage of the mean. So maapektuhan ang value niya sa value na humihila pababa, yung pinakamababang value, at yung pinakamataas na value also na humihila. So affected ang value because of these outliers. That is one of the characteristics of the mean. The fifth one, it is used only if the data are quantitative. So you cannot use the mean if you are conducting a survey tapos ang answer nila is hindi number. Unless you have transformed their qualitative answer into numerical value, then that's the time you can use the mean. So for example, nag-survey ka anong paboritong shampoo na ginagamit ng mga babae ngayon. So you cannot use mean kung ano yung overall answer. Sinong nanalo? Ang Pantene ba? Ang ano? So you cannot really use the mean if you are dealing with qualitative data. So it is for quantitative data. So if you want to use mean and your data is qualitative in nature, then you have to transform them into quantitative. Those are the properties of the mean. Now for the computation, for the ungrouped data, we will still use this formula, summation of x over n, or x bar is equal to summation of x over n, where x bar is equal to the mean. Summation of x is the sum of the measurements or values, or the sum of all those things that we need to consider. For example, we are dealing with research about the grades, so the sum of the grades involved. And n, which will be our divisor for that particular summation, is the number of measurements. So say for example, you have 100 grades in your research, then your denominator, the value of your n is 100. Example, Ms. Sulit collects the data on the ages of mathematics teachers in Santa Rosa School, and her study yields the following. We have 38, 35, 28, 36, 35, 33, and 40. Since we are dealing with ungrouped data, so it's easy to solve this one. You just add all those numbers that I have mentioned, divide it by 7, since there are 7 ages in that particular data set, then you will get the answer 35. What does it mean? The interpretation for this particular solution is that 35, which is the mean, is the average age of the mathematics teachers in SRS. So, kung may nagtanong sa inyo, for example, if you are at Santa Rosa School, ano ba kadalasan yung edad ng mga nagtuturo ng math? So, since there's a lot of teachers, may nag-38, may 35, so the best way to answer that question, anong edad usually nagtuturo ng math, is to get the central tendency. And we are getting the mean as it is the most reliable. So more or less 35 years old po ang nagtuturo ng math sa school na Santa Rosa. That is how to interpret that particular example. Now is your turn. Please compute this. Mang Juan or Mang John is a meat vendor. The following are his sales for the past 6 days. Compute his daily mean sales. So as you can see, you have 5,800 for Tuesday, Wednesday 8,600, Thursday 6,500, Friday 4,300, Saturday 12,500, and Sunday is 13,400. So please compute, get your calculators, and your answer should be the numerator, the sum of all those numbers, the sales, is 51,100. Since there are only 6 days involved in that particular problem, so divide by 6, then you will obtain 8,516.67. We have converted or estimated or rounded off our answer to the nearest centavo since we are dealing with money, sales. Therefore, the average sales of Mang John as a meat vendor is 8,516 pesos and 67 centavos. So iba-iba man ang kanyang mga sales araw-araw. May masyadong mataas, umaabot siya ng 13,400 in the particular data set. Meron ring masyadong mababa as 4,300. But if you are going to get one particular number that will represent his sales, that will be 8,516.67. We also have a concept related to mean, and we have used the adjective weighted mean. So weighted mean is the mean of a set of values wherein each value or measurement has a different weight. So kaya tinawag siya na weighted mean kasi you are trying to consider that every set of your data or your data set has a different weight. So we will learn this one sa example na bibigay natin later. Yung different weight, it will also be equal to the degree of importance. So may mga data tayo na meron siyang degree of importance. So kung mataas ang kanyang degree of importance, then it must have greater weight as compared to others. So since meron ng weight na involved, then the formula will become x bar, the mean, is equal to the summation of x times w. So it means that you need to multiply every element of your data set by its corresponding weight. That's the representation of w, weight, the number of weight. So after getting all the products, you get the sum, that is the concept of summation. Then divide all of them by the summation of w. So ilan lahat yung mga weights? Then that will become your denominator. To understand that concretely, this problem, below are Amaya subjects and the corresponding number of units, as well as the grades that she got from the previous grading period. Subject on the first column, units on the second one, and the third column we have the grade. So this is an example of a data set with weight. So ang weight na tinutukoy dito is yung units, number of units. This also tells us the degree of importance of the subject. So if we are going to interpret this, it means that science is the most important subject based on this example because it has the highest number of units, that is 1.8, followed by English and Math having 1.5. TLE and MAPE follows, we have 1.2. And the last one, siguro based on this example, not all the time naman ha, but based on this example, Filipino and Social Studies ang least na important because their number of units is just 0.9. So the grades are given. So if you are going to use the simple formula for the mean, you will just disregard the number of units and you will add all of this, 86, 85, 88, 87, 86, 83, 87. Then divide all of this by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 because you have 7 subjects. But no, that's not the correct way to get the grade point average of this particular student because you need to consider your units. Just like you are enrolling now in college and your subjects have corresponding units. Diba may mga subjects kayo na 1.5 ba ngayon masyado ang or kadalasan yung subject, may 3 units, may mga lower than that, so that also determines that your subjects have different degree of importance. So solving for the simple mean is not the correct one to get the grade point average. So we need to consider the units. So we need to get the weights. So for Filipino, we need to multiply, of course, 86 by 0.9. For English, we need to multiply 85 by 1.5. For math, 88 by 1.5, and so on and so forth. Then our denominator will be the overall total for the units because it is summation of W yung denominator, as you can remember in the previous slide for the formula for the weighted mean. So in other words, if you're going to rewrite that, so summation of X times W, so our X ang grade, W weight, yung units, so 86 times 0.9 plus 85 times 1.5. So you just follow the pattern divided by summation of the weights. So i-add lahat ng weights, which is the number of units. Then you will obtain, using your calculators, 86.1 ang kanya average. That is how to apply weighted mean. So Amaya's average grade or grade point average is 86.1. Now it's your turn. Please get the weighted average or weighted mean of James. As you can observe, every subject has its corresponding units. So I will give you around 30 seconds to solve this. Get your calculators and record your answer. Let's compare our answers. So for the first part, I multiplied 90 by 1.5 plus 86 times 1.5 plus 88 times 1.8 plus 87 times 1.09 plus 87 times 1.5. So that represents summation of X, W. The product of X and W, then its overall sum. That's for the numerator. For the denominator, the summation of W, so we are dealing with the weights. So 1.5 plus 1.5 plus 1.8 plus 0.9 plus 1.5. Therefore, our answer should be 87.67, rounded off to the nearest hundredths. James or James's general average is actually 87.67. I hope you got the correct answer. So I hope there are no more questions for the mean. If you have some, then you can just send me a message. But this time we will proceed to the second measurement of central tendency, which is the median. And the word is taken from the combination of middle value, median. I hope that makes sense. So it's easy to recall median if you are just thinking about middle value. But first, you need to rank the data or set the data in ascending or descending order. So say for example, you have 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22 as your data set. There's no need for us to do something about this. It's already arranged from the smallest to the largest. So it's in ascending order. Then we will just look at the middlemost value. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 numbers in the data set. So we can easily locate the centermost or the middlemost. Because the number of data is odd, 7 man siya. So the middlemost is the fourth one. So 19 is our median. What if our data, the number of our data is not odd, it's even, like we will add 23. So naging 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 na siya. So it means that may dalawa tayong middlemost. So if the number of observation is even, then you will have 2 middlemost values. If that happens, then you will get the average of the 2 middlemost values. So we have 19 and 20 are the middle. So nagtayo sila sa gitna. Then get the average, you have 19.5. That is how you deal with median. As compared to mean kanina, meron rin mga properties and characteristics ang median. Number 1, median is the score or class in the distribution wherein 50% of the score fall below it and 50% lie. So, nasa gitna siya. Meron siyang 50% sa taas niya at meron siyang 50% sa baba niya if you are going to arrange. So maganda ang arrangement nito because it is in accordance to its value, highest to lowest or lowest to highest. Importante na naka-arrange ang value mo sa median because you cannot get it just like mean na kahit in any order you can get it by just applying the formula. Pero sa median, you need to arrange. Arrangement is a must. Second property is median is not affected by extreme datas. So kanina, di ba, meron tayong outliers. Yung 100 ang grade mo tapos meron kang 75. That will affect your average, your mean. Pero sa median, kahit ano pa yung masyadong malaking grade mo dyan or ano yung pinakamababang grade mo dyan, it really doesn't matter kasi ang kanyang tinitingnan lang is yung nasa gitna. So outliers are not important and they are not really used and they cannot affect the value of the median. So please take note of that property. The third one, median is appropriate to use when there are extreme, o yun na siya, yung mga outliers natin, pwede siyang masama doon sa median pero hindi siya nakaka-apekto sa results. So if you have those values na masyadong mataas, masyadong mababa, then you can apply median because it does not affect the overall value. Number 4, median is used when the data are ordinal. From the word itself, ordinal, it is in ordered form. So for example, the level of pain, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, arrange siya. So it's very easy for us to identify the middlemost value because it's already in ordinal form. The last one, median exists in both quantitative and qualitative data. As long as na-arrange siya, kahit quali pa lang siya, then you will just get the middlemost value of that, then it can be identified, yung median. So, anong example ng qualitative data na pwede sa median? Yung mga, the frequency of doing something, di ba? Sometimes you will answer, never, I never do this. Rarely, pwede ring sometimes, pwede ring frequently, or second to always. So, kung meron kang ganoon, as long as it is ordered, kahit hindi siya number, kahit qualitative siya, then the middlemost part will be the median. So, it can also be identified kahit quali siya. So, quali, quanti can be used in median. Let's try to see if you will get the median of these numbers. So, the first one, survey ito, we have those numbers. Second one, we have savings. So, amount of money. Number 3 is lifetimes of light bulbs. So I will give you time to get the answer and you must get the following correct answers on your own. Number 1 is 14. Number 2 is 475,000 because these are in 1,000 pesos. So nakalagay dito is 3-digit lang, but it is specified also that it's in 1,000 pesos. So the answer is 475,000. Number 3 is 1,000 rin, 1,000 hours. So kahit may decimal dyan, it means na you are going to multiply that by 1,000. So it is 1,100 hours or 1.1 thousand hours. So I will just leave to you the solution to the answers. Let's go back. For number 1, there is no mode. So there will be cases sa mode na walang answer kasi walang nagbalik. There is no value that is frequently observed. For number 2 is VS, it appeared 3 times. For number 3 is 4.0 and 3.5. So it means that pwede siyang more than one ang answer. Pwedeng wala, pwedeng isa, pwedeng more than one. So kung dalawa, just like number 3, is bimodal. Number 4, it's 117 kasi nag-appear siya twice. So the mode is the easiest measurement that we can make because we are just using our eyes as our tool to get the answer. Now here we have the properties or the characteristics of mode. Number 1, it is used when you want to find the value which occurs most often. Yung sinabi, yung balik-balik. Gusto mo lang malaman kung ano yung parate. For example, yung service sa shampoo, ano yung paborito nila. Then you will just ask and ask and ask. Then look at the data, yung pabalik-balik. Then that will represent the overall value. So mode is very much appropriate if that is the case. Number two, it is a quick approximation of the average. Kasi nga, you are just using your eyes. So it's the quickest way to give an answer for the central tendency, the mode. It is also known as inspection average because you are just trying to inspect and you are not solving. Number four, it is the most unreliable. If the mean is the most reliable measurement, the mode is the most unreliable. Because we all know it does not involve computations. We are just using our eyes, using our observation. So it's not scientifically based on a certain calculation or formula. The fifth one, though it exists in quantitative data, it is most applicable in qualitative. As I have mentioned earlier, ano yung paboritong ice cream flavor ng mga tao? Then you can use mode to identify the answer. Kung ano yung balik-balik na sagot nila. So those are the properties of mode, and as you can see, this is the most unreliable measure of central tendency because it involves observation alone. I mean 3 and 8. For number 2, we have a random sample of 8 mango trees. We have 80, 70, 80, 90, 82, 82, 90, 82. So ilang beses nag-appear ang 82? Tatlong beses. So 82 is the most frequent observation. Though nag-appear ang 80 twice, pero mas maraming beses si 82 kay 3 times siya. So 82 is the answer. For number 3, scores, we have 12, 15, 12, 8, 7, 15, 19, 24, 13, and 15. So ano yung nag-repeat ng pinakamarami? 15. We have 1, 2, and 3. So 15 is the answer. What's that? So to wrap up, you have a simple exercise. Find the mean, median, and mode for each item. So you must have the following answers. So I will just give the answers to you and it's up to you to solve for it if it needs solving. Then we have the review quiz. This is supposed to be given to you through Kuiper. So I will just binilisan ko na lang para hindi makita yung sagot. Okay, so after the ungrouped data, we have the grouped data. So ano ibig sabihin ng group data? Yung ginawa natin before sa distribution table, sa frequency distribution table na from the raw data, naging ano na siya in the form of table na meron siyang class interval, frequency, and other columns. Ang tawag dun is group data. You cannot really see the distribution of the table, of that particular table. So dapat meron siyang formula na gagamitin. So we have to take note of the different formula kasi it involves details kasi about the position of the number. So first thing is the mean. We will be using the class mark formula. As we all know, class mark is also known as the midpoint, the middle point of that particular class interval. So for the class mark formula, this is expressed as x bar, our mean, is equal to the summation of f times x sub m over n. Or that is the summation of, kunin mo lahat ng product ng frequency at saka class mark per class interval. The sum of that will be divided by n, the number of sample, which is, makikita ito saan? Sa total ng frequency mo. So f there is the frequency, x sub m is the class mark, n is the number of sample. That's the formula. So here is our example of the group data, diba? Hindi natin alam kung ano dito yung 90 to 98, yung 6. Ano ang 99 to 107 na 22. So hindi natin alam, naka-table na siya. So yan ang ibig sabihin ng group data, naka-group na siya. So how do we get the mean if this is now the presentation? So we will use that formula. So first, we have to identify after the frequency, the midpoint. So to get the midpoint, again, from the class interval, the lower plus the upper limit, and then divided by 2, that will be our midpoint. So we have 94 for the first interval, 103 for the second one, and so on and so forth. Since we have f times x sub m, so we have to multiply each of this. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, so we have to fill in 5 rows. 6 times 94, we have 564, and so on and so forth. So again, that's the product of frequency and class mark. So that's the result. If we are going to add all these numbers, then that's f times x sub m. That will be the summation of f times x sub m. And this is the numerator of the formula for the mean. So what's the sum? It's 11254, 11,254. So we already have the data for the numerator, and the denominator is 6, 22, 40, 24, and 8. That's 100. So divide the 2, 112,454 divided by 100. So it means that the mean is 112.54. That is the mean of this particular data set. So even though hindi siya naka-specify kung ano talaga yung mga data, naka-table lang siya, it's still possible to compute for the answer. So you just do that, and then followed by f times x sub m. You have to fill in that part. And the answer is already given. So kayo nang bahala sa solusyon. Just to know if you really are able to apply the formula correctly. So for this problem, the mean is 77.54. I guess it's rounded off to the nearest hundreds. The solution will be your task. That's all about for the mean. Median is the second concept that we're going to study. Take note of this formula. It's a bit complicated, but you need to familiarize this. Ito siya is the median. The median symbol is parang meron siyang hindi siya bar dito because that is for the mean. So it used another symbol para siyang curvy or wave na sign for the median. And we have L for the lower class boundary of the median class. So meron ng class boundary na involved. It means that you need to add a column in your table na may class boundary. So we have here a quantity. So yung lower class boundary of your median class, meron siyang i-add doon, that is n divided by 2. That is the number of data divided by 2. Because that is how to compute, diba, the middlemost position. Kay median is the middlemost. So parang tansyahin mo ano yung pinakagitna. So for example, meron akong 100 na data kagaya sa example kanina. So divide ko sa 2, so dapat nasa 50th position siya or around that. It may not be exactly at the 50th position kasi n is equal to an even number, pero around that is our median lies. There, the median can be found. So n over 2 minus, so meron tayong less than CF. This particular symbol is cumulative frequency above the median class. Ang ibig sabihin nito. So, ano yung cumulative frequency? We will learn that later. Tapos, above the median class, we will also identify it later. Then, that particular quantity, yung dalawa, will be divided by f sub m as frequency of the median class. So, it's really important to identify the median class kasi yun siya ang frequency ng median class, yun siya ang ilalagay mo dito. Times the I, which is the size of the interval, or your class interval, class size. Example, the same data set kanina, yung sa exercises, 100 pa rin. So, first is we need to compute for n divided by 2 para alam natin ano yung median class. We will always start with identifying what is the median class. So, ano yung class dito? Anong median? Anong class? Ito ba? Ito? Ito? Or ito? Or ito? Kung saan matatagpuan si median. So, 100 divided by 2 is equal to 50. So, dapat mag-construct muna tayo ng cumulative frequency. Ano yung cumulative frequency? Ito yun siya. Na-present na. You are going to copy the first entry of your frequency. So, 6. Ang ibig sabihin yan, ang first 6 entries nandoon sa 90 to 98. Ito, ng number na 6 will be added by the second entry of your frequency. So, 6 plus 22 is 28. So, ang ibig sabihin nito, ang ika-7 hanggang ika-28 na data ay nandito sa 99 to 107 kapag na-arrange na siya. Again, you do the same process. You add to the next entry of your frequency. So, 28 plus 48, 68. So, ang ika-68 na data, so from 29th to 68, nandito siya naka-lie lahat ng mga data na noon if you are going to arrange that. So, next is add again, that's 92, 68 plus 24. So, ang from 69 to 92nd observation, nandito. Plus 8, we have 100. So, dapat mag-equal yung cumulative frequency last entry at saka number of observation. Ang ibig sabihin nito, ang 93rd observation hanggang 100th observation, nandito. So, since meron tayong na-compute kanina na n divided by 2, so 100 divided by 2, that is equal to 50. So, ang 50 actually is nandito, di ba? Kasi dito, 28 lang. So, dito hanggang number 29 hanggang number 68 nandito. So, ang 50th observation nandito. So, this is the median class. 108 to 116 is our median class. So, kaya may arrow. So, use the formula to find the median. So, since we already found our median class by using n divided by 2, that's 50, and it lies here. Hindi siya pwede dito kasi hanggang 28 lang ito. While dito, number 29 to number 68, nandito. So, nandito si 50. Substitute, L is the lower class boundary of the median class. So, ang lower class boundary, mag-minus ka ng 5 dito. So, that's 107.5. Plus, n divided by 2, 60. 100 divided by 2, 50. Minus the cumulative frequency. So, dito ka magtingin, diba, of the median class above the median class. So, that's 28, minus 28, divided by the frequency of the median class. That's 40, the frequency of our median class, times I. So, pwede mong ibilangin kung ilan lahat per interval. So, you have 90 to 98. Or pwede mong i-minus from 90 to 99. We have 9, diba? So, every interval, ang class size niya is 9. So, i-calculate natin to. You substitute kanina yung sinabi number, 107.5, 100 over 2, 28, cumulative frequency of the class above the median class, 28, minus 40, divided by 40 again, times 9, the class size. Then, you will obtain 112.45. That is the median of the said group. And afterwards, you still have your own exercise, and you should be answering that. The solution will be yours, but I will give you the correct answer so that you will be guided kung tama bang sagot niyo or hindi. So, that's 77.60. Next is the mode, the last measurement of central tendency. For the ungroup data, we have the formula. L plus the quantity of, take note of this, we have F sub M. Ang L, the same pa rin yung meaning ha kanina, lower class boundary of the class. Pero this time, the mode class. So, kanina, inalam natin ang median class by getting n divided by 2. Ngayon, aalamin natin ang modal class by finding kung ano yung pinakamaraming frequency. And there should be only one. Kasi mahirap mong identify kung may nag-tie na frequency na marami. Pero probably the problem that will be given to you is isa lang ang mode. After getting the modal class, get the lower class boundary, substitute it here, then you can get also the other values or variables like F sub M, the frequency of the modal class or mode class. F sub A, that is the frequency above the mode class. F sub B, ito siya, is the frequency below the mode class. And I is still the class size. So, para magagamit natin yan, we have an example. The same pa rin yung data, 100 ang total, the same yung mga class interval, pero this time we are going to compute for the mode. So, find the modal class. Ano yung pinakamarami dito? 40. So, therefore, itong class 108 to 116 is the mode class. So, let's have the lower class boundary. That's 107.5 kasi mag-minus tayo dito, di ba, sa class boundary. Plus, what is F sub M? The frequency of the modal class, that's 40. Minus F sub A, the frequency of the modal class above it, that's 22. Divided by 2 times yung F sub M natin, which is 40. So, 2 times 40, 80. Minus F sub A, above it, we have 22, frequency above it. Minus F sub B, the frequency below it, that's 24. This quantity will be multiplied by I. The same pa rin na na-compute natin kanina. Binilang natin from 90 to 98, or we just get the difference from the 90 and 99. The same with 99 to 108 and so on. That's 9. So, I is equal to 9. So, again, we have 107 plus 40 minus 22. Divided by 2 times 40 minus 22 minus 24. And that particular quantity will be multiplied by 9. That is equivalent to 112.26. That should be the mode. And the mode here is not a whole number, it can be in decimal because we are just approximating the value knowing that we do not have the data for the raw numbers because this is just tabular form. So there you have the different formulas in computing for the measures of central tendency, both for the group data, ito, at saka yung kanina ungrouped data. This will be your exercise also for the mode, but I will give you the answer. I-check lang as your reference when you have also answered on your own. It's 76.5 or 76.50. That's all for the presentation about the measures of central tendency. If you have some questions again, then you just send me a message. That's all for this session. Thank you so much and goodbye.